Peter, I know the meeting that I asked the Bochel for, I actually indicated that I didn't think we would need more than about half an hour, because it's not a lot that needs to be discussed, or maybe it is a lot, but we would be able to go through it relatively quickly.
Yes.
So that's fine. I am, maybe we should, I don't know whether we are supposed to wait for Trevor and Anna-Marie. Jock, I see you've got that, you clicked that one. Trevor should be logging in. Okay, Peter, I'm going to continue in English. Basically, all of the representatives involved in this meeting here today will be guys that are associated to or with the Association for Renewable Energy Practitioners. The industry, I've been involved in the electrical industry on a full-time basis, probably for the last 20 years. And I think the biggest thing that I've seen in industry is a disparity between associations, the ECA and the ECB, and the ECB and the Department of Labor, and there's always someone pulling in a different direction. And it was the intention of this meeting was just to raise the 3 points that we think is critical for industry to move forward, and then invite the other associations into a meeting where we can have a constructive discussion, so that all the industry bodies can start moving into one direction. So that's really the purpose of the meeting. We see that at all of the guys, so maybe without mentioning the names of other industry bodies, all of the guys that used to cause issues in industry have either resigned or have moved away from the industry bodies that they represented. So at the moment, we're in a place where all the industry bodies are actually at a point where they are prepared to start talking together. And because we're at the point where all the industry bodies can start talking together, I thought it's important to invite the Department of Labor into that discussion, so that we can get the industry moving in one direction, instead of this guy having his opinion, that guy having his opinion. So that was the purpose of the meeting. Pieter, is jy nog daar?
Ja, nee, ek is hier. So, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, that is very, very broad. If you can maybe just zoom into the issues.
Yes, okay, cool. I'm going to, yes, 3 issues. I'm going to move into the issues quickly. I see Trevor has joined us. So Trevor is the, morning Trevor. Trevor is the Vice Chairman for ARAP. Jock is the Chairman for ARAP, and I am responsible. I'm the President. I'm responsible basically for the operations in and around the association. So let's just quickly look at the 3 issues. The first issue is Annex M. I had this telephonic discussion with you a couple of weeks ago, and what we've got is we had an article published by SAPVIA saying that the PV Green Card is the only document that can be issued for solar PV installations. Then we had the ECA responding to that article, where Mark Mfiku wrote an article and said, no, you can only be an installation electrician and a master installation electrician. So that has caused a major rift in industry, because through the training that we do, this year we'll train 2,000 guys. for the year in solar PV installation, design and install. Not all of them will be installing systems, but we teach the guys that single phase testers can do installations and sign off a single phase installation. So we've got one part of industry pulling this way, saying that they'll only allow installation electricians, and we've got this part of industry saying no, single phase testers can issue. So I think it's important for us to what's the word? Just get all the bodies together and make sure that we share one message. So the single phase tester thing is probably at this stage one of the biggest issues in industry. Can you just confirm the Department of Labor is currently registering single phase testers and you are allowing them to issue COCs on single phase DC installations?
Yes, that is correct. And we always have to go back to the electrical installation regulations. And this is also a regulatory issue. So, but I will come back to that, Nana.
Okay.
So if you look at the electrical installation regulations, the definition of the different type of registered persons, they only refer to an installation that supplies by a single phase. That is now for the single phase tester.
Yes.
What is excluded from a single phase tester is installation that is supplied by a three phase, and also installations that are not inside a as this location, or,
yes.
or that is not a specialized electrical installation.
Yes.
So we have not classified PV installation as specialized, because then it will mean that only MIEs might be COC.
Yes, I understand.
So your DC installation is not a three-phase installation. Yeah. So
okay, let's
look at the definition there. That means that a single-phase electrical tester can issue a certificate of compliance for DC installations.
Okay, that's great. I have had a number of meetings with AIAs. Now, there aren't many of them in industry, but it seems like there is a demand for, or there is a need that's been identified by players in industry to grow the group of approved inspection authorities in the country. So I am seeing more and more guys gearing themselves to either become AIAs or guys that are AIAs already. So that's exciting, and that's a positive step. But I had a meeting with one of the AIAs 2 weeks ago, and he expressed that according to him, he will not allow a single phase tester to issue COC. So again, the same story, but just at a different level, because the AIAs report directly to the Department of Labor. So in the meeting that we are going to schedule with the other industry bodies, we are also going to be inviting the AIAs to join that meeting, because they report directly to the Department of Labor. So I just want to make you aware of it. So in the next meeting we have, we are going to be a much larger group. But it's important for the bodies to start speaking the same, singing from the same hymn book. Okay, that was the one issue. Then the next one is COCs, or test reports for solar PV installations. In the introduction to the wiring code, it says that the SABS is busy moving to IEC installations. Busy moving over to IEC standards, sorry. And there is a testing standard, which is IEC 62446, that has a test report for solar PV installations in it. Can that test report be used as a test report for COCs, and then a normal COC is issued just with the use of that particular test report? Would that be acceptable?
Okay, at the moment, we are using the general COC, general test report for solar. So if we want a specific test report for solar installation, then we can develop that standard or that test report at the technical committee, at the working group at SABS, so that we can make it part of the standard.
Okay.
You can base that test report on the IEC standard. It will definitely assist.
There is a on SANS 10142, part 1, part 2, which is the solar standard. Cecil and a subcommittee in the committee, what do we call them? A task group. A task group was formed to create a test report under SANS 10142, part 1, part 2. That standard was published in the beginning of the year, but it was then withdrawn again because there was one guy that said that the SABS didn't follow the correct procedure in publishing that standard. So there is an existing test report that is linked, that is on the last page of that standard. So there is a test report already for solar installations. The standard just has to be published again, but I'm sure we would be able to use that one, because in solar installations, there are certain tests that you need to do that cannot be tested under the general test report.
Yes.
Okay. So that would be acceptable.
Yes, we have to, unfortunately, we have to use the general test report for now, till we have got another document.
Okay.
So we always have said people may add things to the test report, but they're not allowed to take things away. So if they want to attach that test report from part 1, part 1, division 2, they're welcome to do that. Or they can refer to the IEC standard.
Oh, that is excellent. Okay, I hear what you're saying. So we would be able to extend the general test report to include the tests from the solar system. And yeah, okay, 100%. I understand that totally. So we won't be able as an industry to create a separate test report for now. We have to use the general one and extend it.
Yes.
Okay. That's great.
And it's just that we will not be able to enforce it to say that everyone must use now that extended report for now.
Yes, I understand. Okay. Okay, so it can't be enforced then.
No.
Is that a problem?
So should they use that shorter one for now? So every COC should have that shorter test report accompanying it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, the general report.
Yeah, so Jock, the COC consists of two components. The one is the certificate of compliance and the other one is the test report. So on the COC, it's the COC is on the front page and the test reports on the back page. Those are actually two separate.
I understand, but most people are just using the standard electrical document for the test reports at the moment. They're not using the specific solar test report.
Yes.
And what you're saying is, by the regulatory requirement, they actually need to use that test report in the standard, existing one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Peter, that's great. Thank you very much, because that's going to be a discussion. The PV green card. So SAPVIA is a different body, and they created a document that they called the PV green card, and they were under the impression that they were issuing it as a solar COC. So I think in the meeting we are going to be addressing, in the meeting we have with all the industry bodies and the Department of Labor, we are going to be addressing the COC issue as well, so that they can be informed as to how to draw up and make that document available. This leads us into the next thing, into the next topic. So according to the electrical installation regulations, only an electrician registered with the Department of Labor is allowed to issue or create his own COCs. Obviously, it has to have a number that's sequential and all the other things related to it. But organizations or non-profit organizations like the ECA and the ECB and SAPVIA have started producing their own documents that they can circulate as a mechanism to try and control the standard of installations in industry. Is it acceptable for industry bodies to produce COCs for their members that the members can purchase from the body?
Yes, we welcome that, and as I've said, we cannot enforce it. Anything outside the regulation, we cannot enforce it. We cannot tell people that they must go and buy the COC from their association. But we welcome it that the associations do sell these COCs.
Yes.
With the test report. The only condition is that it must be in line with the standard and regulation.
Okay. Okay. That is excellent. Peter, from my side, I think that covers the three topics, and we are going to, I wanted you to be kind of prepared. I didn't want to arrange a meeting with the other industry bodies where you weren't aware of what was going to be discussed. Because I think these are fairly controversial topics, and it's probably going to raise a lot of debate.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just wanted to, that was the purpose of the meeting. I don't know whether I've kind of covered, I've covered the 3 points that I wanted to cover. I don't know whether the Jock or Trevor has anything else to add.
I wanted to ask a question quickly, and it's just a clarification around the COC, because there's kind of competing, my interpretation is competing requirements around whether you need to have a complete new COC for an installation or a solar installation on the main distribution board, or if it can be issued as a supplementary. How does the Department of Labor interpret that?
Okay. That responsibility lies with the user of that electrical installation. So when you go and install a PV installation, you should always ask them for the COC for that installation, so that you can refer back to that COC with your supplementary COC. That is the ideal situation.
Yes, yeah, I understand. That's kind of where I start as a minimum. Okay, so you're saying that you don't interpret it that you need to issue a new complete COC for the whole distribution board or existing installation.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. That's good to know.
There was one thing that I said I want to come back. I had a meeting with SABS, and they're feeling very strong about regulatory issues that are in the standards. Now, this table in a standard is one of these issues that is a regulatory issue. And so I had a meeting with Peter and Patrick that looks at the standards to make sure that there are no regulatory issues in the standard. Regulatory issues is things like, we say a certificate of compliance is only valid for 2 years. If you want to transfer that COC to a new owner.
I see your point. So if it's only valid for 2 years if it changes ownership. Okay, I understand. Okay, it's clear now.
You cannot put something like that in a standard.
Yeah, no, of
let
course.
me give you another example. There are a standard, but for electric fences that has got a maintenance schedule that tells you that you have to do certain things every month. That is also a regulatory issue and needs to be removed from the standard. The same with this table that I have got. At the moment, that table is information. So no one can enforce that table that talks about what a single phase tester may do, what an IE may do, an MIE. No one can enforce that because it's informative. But I have requested them to change that table. So we might see a change with the next edition of the standard.
Peter, the standards committees consist of a technical committee and a working group. And the technical committee, where I see the issue in the standards at the moment is the technical committee, and I think the Department of Labor would be positioned at the technical committee level. So you've got a technical committee and a working group, and maybe at the technical committee level there aren't enough guys to, because even at the technical committee level there is a voting process, and I would imagine that it's possible that there aren't enough guys to either vote the Annex M out or vote to have changes made to Annex M. Is that where the problem lies at the moment, or is that not a voting issue in having the annex removed or changed?
It was not my feeling. I will just check again, but according to me, the working group has agreed to change it.
Okay, because I think it's important at the next meeting that we're going to have to maybe raise that as well, because guys like Cecil and some of the other guys that are on the working group at the moment are very passionate about the installation electrician being the minimum level. So I think it's important for us to have this meeting where everybody's included, so that we can just start working together. So I'm kind of excited about having that set up.
I have mentioned this issue to the working group before the latest edition.
Yes.
But the chairperson didn't want to take on new work at that point.
Okay. Okay.
Because they wanted that addition to go ahead, that it can be finalized.
Okay.
So that was a main reason why they have not done a change earlier.
Okay.
But it's now part of the latest edition.
That is excellent. That is great news. Thank you very much. Is Jock or Trevor, any final thoughts or questions?
Thank you, Carl. Yes, thank you for the privilege to be here. And I just want to ask one thing, just to get my mind around it and clarity. Maybe, Mr. Lopes, if you can please give me the knowledge. I would like to understand whether, and I do understand that a single phase tester can sign off on a single phase inverter. But in my mind, I would say power generation or PV system on DC is basically different type of power, and to my knowledge, a lot more dangerous than single phase. So I could understand if they're going to sign off on the load side and the incoming side from the grid on a single phase equipment. So my understanding and my question would be, would it be safe then to let them also do the DC without any further knowledge?
Okay. When a person issues a certificate of compliance, doesn't matter if it's not DC or AC or the different type of installations, that person who sign off that COC have to make sure that that installation complies with the prescribed standards. Let me use an example. We have introduced also installations above 1,000 volts up to, okay, in a regulation we don't have a top limit, but there is now a standard that will cover at least up to 22 kV. We didn't say that all these people have to undergo additional training to issue the test report for that installations above 1,000 volts. And there are quite a number of examples. Like, for example, when there's a new addition published, we don't go and withdraw this, all the registrations. We expect from them to be involved in the industry and go for the additional training that they need where there are changes. So there is a responsibility on each registered persons to familiarize themselves with the latest requirements. And it also applies to the single phase tester. If you or C wants to issue a test report for a solar installation, they have to make sure that they know what are the requirements. That is part of their training when they go for assessment, where the training provider have to test them on certain, they have to have to test a person, and they have to make a declaration that that person understands the requirements in the installation for a single phase installation. But it doesn't only stop there. They also have to make a declaration that that person knows how to construct the installation and that they have got knowledge of the basic principles of electricity. So they might not have the theoretical qualifications, but they have to be tested on these aspects.
Okay.
Okay. We had a number of meetings with SAP here on this issue. And we have made it clear to Sophia, when I issue that green card, that I have to make sure that the person is registered with the department. And there we have said we will accept the single phase tester.
Okay.
There are a lot of people that have trained themselves how to do these installations, or they went for the course, and all we are asking is that they must just go for the assessment, and if they've got 5 years experience in that type of installation, then we will register them as a tester for single phase. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Peter, I think that's it from our side. I don't know if there are any comments. I see Tudania is logged in. I don't know whether Anne has any questions or Tudania has anything to add, but if no one else has anything to add, then I think I'm satisfied, and I'm going to ask Tebogo to identify another date where we can have all the industry bodies sitting around the same table. Would that be good?
Yes, no, that will be good for me.
Okay. Peter, that's great. This meeting has now been 40 minutes, which is great. I think if we can allocate an hour when we have all the industry bodies together, I think that would be more than sufficient. Do you have a specific time in mind, or would that be something I would ask Tebogo for?
The best is to ask Tebogo,
Okay.
because he has got access to all our diaries, including Mr. Malasse's diary.
Okay. That is excellent. Peter, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time, and thanks for clarifying those issues. And I look forward to having the next meeting.
Okay, no, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
For attending the meeting.
Yeah, thanks for your time. It's appreciated.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys.
Just tell me, and now, where is he?
Who?
And now?
Oh, and Nell is the administrator for the association.
For RF?
Yes.
Okay. So all the people we had today is from RF?
Yes. Yeah, we are trying to collaborate with the other industry bodies, and we're trying to get all of the industry bodies to just move in the same direction. So we initiated this meeting with the intent of just bringing it under your attention so that we could get the other guys involved as well. So with the next meeting, you should be prepared, and then I'm looking forward to having the other guys around the table as well.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
That is excellent. Thank you very much. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, everybody.
Okay then.
Bye-bye.
And
Keep
keep
well.
well.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.